The ego uses things like that to justify where you're at in life and to keep you stuck in this box. And the second thing I want to discuss is the word both, because when you're thinking of spirituality and money as both, you're still living in the frequency of separation without knowing it. And the true journey of spirituality is to become one with everything. The true journey of spirituality is the discovery of your highest, most authentic self. The true journey of spirituality is for you to remember that the goal is for you to be one with God.
Danny Morel is a transformational coach and spiritual teacher who built a billion-dollar real estate business before diving deep into spiritual work. He's also the creator of the Higher Self podcast and leads Awaken, a 3-day immersive experience helping people heal emotional wounds. In this conversation, we talk about how to master your material world and spirituality without having to choose one over the other.
The first question an entrepreneur needs to ask themselves is, why am I really doing what I'm doing? Most people don't want to ask that question because they are so disconnected from the truth that they don't even know how deep of a question that actually is. So I'll give you my answer. When I look back to who I was prior to my spiritual awakening, I was afraid to ask that question because I already knew the answer. The answer was I needed validation. I think that's the biggest thing that entrepreneurs are missing, is asking themselves, why am I an entrepreneur?
Danny shares how his process of mastering one area before moving to another happens through facing truth, not escape.
When you're ready, everything shows up. And if you feel like there's a large majority of you that are listening right now that this is resonating as true with you, so I would just encourage you to just talk to God and just tell God, God, I'm ready to know the truth. I'm ready to know the truth about all things. I'm ready to know the truth about you, about myself, about my potential, about my life. So show me and open me to this path. Bring to me all of the right people, all of the right circumstances to show me how abundant I actually am, to show me that I actually can have it all. And then just watch what happens.
Before we get into this conversation, I want to ask you to join this amazing community of consciousness explorers. This whole idea of pursuing expanded consciousness and the boundaries of human potential while living a modern life is relatively new, which is why we interview revered masters, teachers, experts, and practitioners to help you on your own journey. To stay up to date on the latest conversations, simply click subscribe below and you'll be notified each time a new episode comes out. I am so grateful for all of your support and comments. I love reading them. Now let's dive into this conversation. Danny, great to have you here, man.
Thanks for having me.
You know, there's a lot of reasons why I was excited to chat with you, but one of the big ones is I feel like there's this kind of compartmentalization of spiritual growth and then worldly success. And there's not a lot of people out there that are saying, hey, you can do both. And in fact, I'm doing both. And I think where I'd like to start the show is really just to understand, I know you've had a lot of success in your career over time, but when did the consciousness work really start to come front and center into your life?
Yeah. First, I want to speak to the whole, I can't have both thing. What happens when we start this work is we essentially leave the mind and return to the heart and, return to our feminine and return to all of the parts of us that we've been disconnected from. And we want to go into the jungles and sing Kumbaya and, hang out all day and talk to friends. And then eventually, you get to realize that that's not going to give you the means that you need to make a real impact here on this planet. And oftentimes we over spiritualize everything and we say things like, well, there wasn't any money around when Jesus was here or something like that. And my answer to that is, but yeah, it's 2025. And so when you say that, what is actually happening is you've created a story about why you can't be both. And I'll get to the word both in a second. And you use things like that. The ego uses things like that to justify where you're at in life and to keep you stuck in this box. And the second thing I want to discuss is the word both. Because when you're thinking of spirituality and money as both, you're still living in the frequency of separation without knowing it. And the true journey of spirituality is to become one with everything. The true journey of spirituality is the discovery of your highest, most authentic self. The true journey of spirituality is for you to remember that the goal is for you to be one with God. And if God was walking around planet Earth and it had an option between being rich or poor, it would probably be rich. And the reason why it would be rich is because it would know that it would be the way for it to make the highest amount of impact here in the world, to be able to help the most amount of people. If God were walking around planet Earth and it had a choice between being passionately in love or just being like in a shit relationship, it would choose passionately in love because it's what's available to all of us. If God had a choice between being, unhealthy and stuck on prescription meds and being, vibrant, healthy, and vibrant and healthy is different than you choosing fitness because of the way your body is going to look. That's a completely different energy. Vibrant and healthy is something that is happening from within. And the outcome of it all is that your body looks a certain way. But if you think about it, that's exactly how finances is. Finances and money is the outcome of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs about yourself, about life, about what's possible, about how you've been able to confront your limitations, your fears, your worries, about how you've been able to go all in for what you believe is true and how you want to serve humanity. And so when you have a lot of money, it's just the outcome of helping a lot of people. That's it. And so there is no both. There is no spirituality and money. All is one. And when you get that, the money's just a byproduct of how you're living. So that was first. Second, where did this all begin for me was when my mom died, which was about 7 years ago or so. And I'm just an all-in kind of person. It's just the way I've always been. So I don't know any other way to be. I don't know any other way to exist. I want the truth. I want to go live in the truth. I want to go share the truth. And, it started with my first ayahuasca ceremony and I never looked back and I just kept going back. It was interesting. I have this offering called Inner Circle and it's with entrepreneurs. And I had a brother in it. He's been in it for 4 years. And, I let everybody go at their own pace. But he finally said, he's like, I feel like I'm in between dark and light. And I just had to confront him. And I said, listen, you've been with us 4.5 years, right? And he said, yeah. And I go, how many week-long, like in the jungles trips have you done? And he said, none. And I go, and how many times have you heard me say that I went back and I went back and I went back and I went back and I kept going back until I felt there was no need to go back? He said, a lot. And I go, so what are you avoiding? And I think that's the question for us all is what is it that we're avoiding and why are we avoiding it? Because when we discover that, then we get to ask ourselves, like, do we want to live life from a place of avoidance? Or do we want to go into the thing that we're avoiding?
So, I want to talk a little bit more in the details of that, right? Because a lot of people see you today like, wow, you're inspiring all these people. You're doing business and spirituality. You went all in after the death of your mother. Was there any point where you thought you had to choose one or the other? Like, how was that? How did that blend unfold?
Yeah, no. And I'll tell you why. I remember back in my real estate days, I heard the saying, the either or mentality. And the either or mentality is a type of mindset in which the ego thinks either I have this or I have that, but I can't have it all. And this is where a lot of like the non-conscious teachers out there say things like, sleep when you die and work-life balance doesn't exist. And I'm here to tell the exact opposite is work-life balance doesn't exist because the energy in which you are approaching your business is an energy of desire. It's an outcome. It's a goal. It's something that you're chasing, that you think that when you arrive at that destination, then you'll finally be happy. But when you finally realize that life isn't meant to be a chase, it's not meant to be a grind, it's not meant to be destination focused, it's actually meant to be in stillness and in the present moment, then you start to confront all of the parts of your life where you're constantly looking out there for the answer and you're constantly avoiding being right here. And when you realize that what you've been avoiding is being still, because you're afraid to be still, because you're afraid of what might show up, then you realize why you don't have work-life balance. Because balance is not an outcome. It's not something that you attain. It's something that you are. And as a result of being balanced, work-life balance simply shows up. That's the missing link right there.
I like that. So, for people out there that are like, okay, Danny, I hear you. Go to the jungle, do some ayahuasca, which, by the way, was also the catalyst to my journey, that first altered state of consciousness and connection with my higher self. I mean, it kind of just catapulted me in a very new direction for my life. But if people aren't quite ready to do that, and they've been playing this kind of achievement game to feel good, where do they start?
Well, I would say the first question an entrepreneur needs to ask themselves is, why am I really doing what I'm doing? And to be honest with you, most people don't want to ask that question because they are so disconnected from the truth that they don't even know how deep of a question that actually is. So I'll give you my answer. When I look back to who I was prior to my spiritual awakening, I was afraid to ask that question because I already knew the answer. The answer was I needed validation. I needed to feel more powerful than you. I needed to be admired and respected by you. I desperately needed you to like me. I needed to feel like I made more money than you and I had nicer things than you, because deep inside, there was a deeply insecure, scared little boy. A scared little boy that didn't receive the love that he was looking for when he was a boy. And that's the most thing that I think that's the biggest thing that entrepreneurs are missing, is asking themselves, why am I an entrepreneur? Like, why do I need to hit the goal? Why do I need to make the money? I didn't say making the money was wrong. I didn't say hitting the goal was wrong. I didn't say having a goal was wrong. I didn't say any of that. I said why. And when you go deep into that shit, get ready, because that's what's going to reveal some truth to you, And the courage is keep peeling back the layers. And as you keep peeling back the layers, it's like some of us, we love doing seminars and we love coaching other people. I'll tell you right now, there's some people that, I'm telling you right now, there's some people that have done the medicine, that they've done the kumbaya, they've done the ayahuasca 30 times. They have no fucking business coaching anybody on planet Earth.
Why do you say that?
Because they're a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Just straight up. And that's a large percentage of the life coaches have shit lives.
Well, what I've seen quite a bit is a lot of people are still trying to heal that wound, right? Through feeling important.
Yeah, that's
it. Surface by now being a coach and telling others.
That's it. It's a quick way to avoid it. And again, I didn't say don't go be a life coach. But if you're asking me, if you're asking me, okay, Danny, I want to have it all. I want to help other people with their life. I want to make millions upon millions of dollars. Yeah. I want to travel the world and stay in 5-star resorts. But at the same time, I want to help people through their deepest, darkest moments, right? Then I would tell you, I repeat, do not coach a single soul until you can say that you have mastery in the 3 energies of human mastery. And that is your finances, that's your relationship, and that is your health. Because until you have mastery in those 3 things, how are you going to help another human being? The answer is you can't. And the answer is that you have to understand how sacred this work is, right? How how much people out there are looking on Instagram for someone to help them. Yeah. And you want to be able to look in the mirror. Like I can look in the mirror. I can look you in the eye. I could look anyone in the eye right now. And I can tell you straight out, I am the best person on planet Earth when you're ready to have it all. Because I've done the work. I've rolled around in the dirt. I've cried and shat my eyeballs out. And like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
You know what I'm saying? Like
dude.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like and then when I thought I had it figured out, I went more and I went more. And you know, when I brought on a partner and I attracted my partner, like I went out there and I called into existence my dream partner, not settling, my dream partner. And then when that dream partner came out and started confronting me and started saying the same shit that my ex-wife said, guess what I did? I went in to figure out what was going on with me. You know what I'm saying? So I could speak about relationships because I get it now. Yeah? Because that scared little boy needed the dream partner, if I'm honest. He needed the beautiful blonde to be, he needed all that shit, right? And now I realize what Source was actually doing. Source was actually preparing me and us to show people that love is not about skin color. It's not about height. It's not about looks. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about the heart, you know? And so, yeah, man, I get pretty fired up.
I love it, dude. I love it. And yeah, you know, it reminds me of a conversation I had with my spiritual teacher. There was a time early in my marriage where I'm like, I don't know, you know, like,
been there, bro.
And we had, the first year was just like head over heels. Fuck yeah. Like the most amazing thing. And then like, you know, things started coming up.
Life is life.
And my teacher was like, you know, that like she is your perfect mirror and that she's going to bring up all your shit. And that is actually the higher order purpose of your relationship.
That's it.
And if you don't take care of this on your side, you're just going to get more of this for a lifetime.
That's it.
And so it's like, all right, the intelligent, not forget spiritual, the intelligent thing to do is to look within.
That's right.
You know, and that has been a incredibly empowering. And I think I often wonder, I'm like, you know, if every couple took that mindset, how would the landscape of marriage and partnership be different?
Listen, I'll tell you this much. This is a true story. So I can remember building my real estate business. And I remember 3 years into my real estate business. No one's going to want to hear this story, by the way.
I want to hear it.
Okay, 3 years into building my real estate business, I started feeling a certain way about my business. I started feeling a certain way about the people, the industry, the tie, the suit, just the whole thing. There was a little ping in my heart that was like, I don't know if this is actually for you. Like, I don't know if you actually like that, right? And I immediately started looking at, I'm going to go be a life coach. True story. You know, I'm going to go be the next Tony Robbins.
I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah. Right? This is what happens, right? And you know what I decided to do that was the greatest decision I ever made? I said no. I said, you're not going to go anywhere and you're not going to do anything until you prove to yourself that you mastered this. So I set a crazy goal. I said, I'm going to do $1 billion in annual sales. That's 2,600 houses a year. That's over 230, 40 houses a month. That's
a lot of freaking
That's a lot of houses. That's a lot of houses, right? And at the time we were doing, I don't know, 80 million or something like that. But you see what I did? I said, okay, if you want to have the guts to say that you want to go help other people with their shit, fix your shit right here and right now. Because what you're actually doing is you're actually avoiding. You're avoiding like the depths in which you need to go to master this industry, to walk away knowing that you can look back going that I left my mark. To this day, you look in Southern California, like a large percentage of the brokers, a large percentage of the real estate agents, you know, in some parts of the country, like I'll be watching postings and they'll be saying the things that like I said. And it's really cool because I can walk away going like, wow, like that chapter in my life It's closed because I closed it the way it was supposed to be closed. I proved to myself that I wasn't avoiding, that I wasn't running, that I wasn't taking the easy way out. I actually did the opposite. I went in. And when I didn't want to go in, I went in again. And now you can see how I was that way with the medicine, right? And so that's my challenge to everybody is before you coach another soul, this is going to wipe out 90% of the life coaches out there, by the way. Like, go master your shit, you know?
Well, what I love about that story too, right? And I'm not sure the timeline of like when that lined up with your mom, but like again, back to this whole like, can I be spiritual and have wildly big and ambitious goals? Like you can use that to bring out the shadow, right? Like all of the like to do $1 billion, you probably had a lot of limiting beliefs to overcome, a lot of self-worth stuff, a lot of self-esteem, right? And like you basically created the container to face all of it.
That's it.
And like,
and I decided to face it. I decided to face it because you know what happens, man, is that sometimes people look at me and they're like, how did you do? Brother, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to start. I didn't know how to lead breath work. I didn't know anything. And now we have probably the largest outside of Joe Dispenza, I think, like in the spiritual community following. We lead the largest breathworks on planet Earth and people say, how did you do it? Because I've been through it. Because I wasn't afraid. And when I saw an ounce of me that wasn't operating from integrity, from love, from source energy, guess what I did? I faced it. I admitted it. It's the only way, man.
The interesting thing is there does seem to be this point. You definitely, you have to have had this experience where it goes from a painful experience to a delight to discover more truth about yourself.
Yeah.
Right. That revelation actually becomes the currency which is most valuable to you.
Yeah.
But you have to, you got to dig your knees in when it's uncomfortable in the beginning.
Well, when you say that revelation is like, whenever, it's very rare now, because ultimately for us men, our greatest fear is true connection and relationship, because that means we've returned truly to the feminine. The man seeks freedom and the woman seeks connection. The masculine seeks freedom, the feminine seeks connection. And so what I realized is that there will be times where I would try to look and my mind would wander and go like, what if I could find somebody else? Here I was.
What guy doesn't?
Let's just be real. Yeah. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest, right? And here I was like, I waited my whole life, attracted my dream partner. Like she's to me the most incredible woman on planet Earth. And I'm not just, I'm talking in here and energetically, right? And yet I'm just being honest with you guys, because a lot of us want to go on the chase. We want to conquer. We want to find. We want to, caveman, me, Jane, right? And then once we have it, that
was the most fun game to play.
Yeah, that's right.
For a long time.
That's right. Yeah, and then I remember laying there thinking like, you're afraid. That's what this is about. Like you're afraid to actually be with someone for the rest of your life. You're afraid to actually love someone with all of your heart. You're afraid to actually be loved for exactly who and what you are. Not because of the way you look, not because of what you earn, not because of how the world sees you, but for who you actually are. That's what you're afraid of. That's why you keep thinking of finding someone else. That's why your mind wanders. And when I discovered that, dude, I go, oh my God. What I've actually been afraid of is what I've actually always wanted. And when I surrendered to that, I surrendered to love. We just went like this.
I have chills. That the notion that we're unable to receive love is so counterintuitive, but man, is it freaking true.
It's it. Because listen, bro, at some point in time in our childhood, our needs weren't met by our parents. And we could have had the most perfect parents in the world. But everybody's on their journey. And so if the love we were searching for wasn't available to us, then there's a wound in there. Yeah? And for some of us, it's a small wound. For others, like we work with people who, their parents sexually abuse them. Like that's the farthest end of the spectrum. But that's a massive, massive wound, And so the more of these wounds that we face as children, and the more separate that we are from love, the more that we think love equals pain. And when love equals pain, what are you going to do? You're going to do everything in your power to avoid that pain. And I think that's one of the greatest issues in relationships today, is that we have a whole bunch of wounded and scared little boys and little girls who have never processed that fear, who've never processed that pain, who've never been shown how to work through it, how to actually find the beauty in it all. And as a result, like, we're together, but we're not together.
Yeah. So how do you teach people to work through that?
That's the beautiful thing, is that like I think the greatest thing I teach and that we can all teach is that the answer is not in me, the answer is in you. I think that's what makes our work the most magical, is that, because yes, there was a time in my life where I was on that stage and I needed you to need me. Because I've been able to work through all of that energy, and there's literally not like even a thread of it left. When people come to Awaken or to our events, they feel like, oh shit, it's like, I thought I was coming to see this dude, like I'm coming to meet me. And that, that's where the rubber meets the road. And so what we do, like, I think the magic of Awaken, for example, our event is that, it's a combination of, me working on all the limitations of the mind and pulling them away and challenging them. And I challenge everything. I challenge everything society has taught you. I challenge the bullshit that religion has imprinted in you. I challenge every limiting belief that exists in the deepest part of your heart and soul. I challenge it so much that you want to punch me in the face, but you can't because you know it's true.
Let's talk about bringing your whole self to work. If you're like many executives, including myself at one point, you might be living a double life. You have your personal career, and then you have your personal growth journey. Conscious Talent is changing that as the world's first executive talent firm specializing in connecting leaders and companies who embrace inner work. Imagine finding job opportunities where your contemplative practice, latest retreat experience, and commitment to your personal evolution are seen as strengths, not secrets. What if you actually felt like your career supported this aspect of your life versus competed with it? Conscious Talent is building a community of leaders and companies who are committed to both combining professional excellence with personal transformation. If you're ready to merge your two worlds with a fully aligned career, join the movement at conscioustalent.com. Here you can sign up for our talent collective to stay on top of future opportunities or find your next transformative team member.
I will bet $100 bazillion that they will see that what I'm saying is absolute truth, because the truth requires no belief. The truth simply is. As a matter of fact, if you're told to believe something, it's an actual sign that it can't be true. Because belief is the opposite of truth. You don't believe that it's a tree a tree. You don't believe that it's the sky the sky. You don't believe that you were born born. You don't believe that all this he, she, it stuff. You don't believe that you're a man. You just look down and you have a thing and two little, or you don't believe that you're a woman. You just look down. It is what it is. The truth is what it is. You're loving this shit, aren't you?
Dude, I'm like, thank you. Right. And I think, what I'm hearing from you, which is very much aligned kind of with my path, is like, it's when you can accept reality as it is that you look inward, and then you have a chance to see more truth.
That's it. That's it. That's it. And who you're feeling right now, what you're feeling right now is authenticity.
And it's so freaking rare these days.
And what I am telling you, please listen to me. The original question that you had is, why is it that spiritual people have, this is what's happening. Spiritual people have the heart, but don't have the money. And entrepreneurs have the money, but don't have the heart. If I'm here to do anything on this planet, is to show you that the reason that is such is because energetically you have bought into this idea that you and the universe, you and God, you and Jesus, you and Allah, whatever you believe, that you are separate from divinity. And as a result of you being separate, you think of these things as separate. As a matter of fact, you don't even think them. You just know human words can express how you interact with the two. You are fragmented, therefore your life is fragmented. And what I'm telling you is that the moment you get unfragmented, this is what I say, go in there, go drink it, go lay down, go to Costa Rica for a week, and then go back again, and then go back again, until you can say, oh my God, I get it. That's when you have it all.
So I do want to dig into this because I've personally have had a number of experiences, ayahuasca, mushrooms, all kinds of stuff where you come out of the experience like, I get it. Like, I'm all of it, right? Like you have that like revelation, right? And like everything's going to be different, right? And then 5 of your best clients cancel on you 3 days later. And you're like, dude, wait a second. I thought that I am the creator here. And,
well, you created that.
And so explain to people why that phenomenon might occur.
Okay. So picture this as a spectrum of energy. And if you want to see the actual spectrum, go read the book Power versus Force.
Hawkins.
By Dr. David Hawkins. David Hawkins. Okay. Caveat. The only thing how I can help articulate it is I didn't read the book. I lived that experience. I lived the experience in a journey of every frequency leaving my body. And a couple of months later, I read the book and I go, oh my God, that's what happened to me. So that's why to me, this book is factual. This is truth. Anyways, in that book, what you'll see is that there are lower frequencies and there are higher frequencies. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure this one out. You've been around people that are always negative, that are down in the dumps, and at the lowest of the lowest of the low, people who have experienced horrible things like sexual trauma, things of this nature, they're depressed, and it's because they're filled with the frequencies of guilt, shame, and then, on the lowest of the low, this is where suicide comes in, where people choose to end their life, right? Well, on the highest of the high, there's love. There's oneness, right? This is called enlightenment. Jesus, when he was asked, are you God? He said, I am that I am. Just go look at the book. The view of God is I am. Because you realize that anything that you say after the word I am, you are. Yeah. Anyhow, what happens here is that the lower you are in the energetic frequencies within your DNA, within your energy field, the more likely that you are, not more likely, the more that you attract clients, business opportunities, people, family members, friends, everything to match that frequency. Yeah. Then you go and you start doing this work. And by the way, it's so important for me to say that the amount of people that come to like Awaken and they say, Danny, I've been doing the work for 15 years. And I'm like, you haven't even fucking begun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
You haven't even fucking begun. But it's all good. I love you. But now get ready, because now the real journey begins. That's another caveat. But when you start to do the actual work, the deep work, right? Then your frequency starts growing, right? And then everyone that you were servicing back here no longer matches this frequency, this energy. Your employees don't. Some of your family members won't. It just is what it is. But we are so used to living from the energy of attachment that we see everything as good or bad. There is no good or bad. Everything simply is. As a matter of fact, the more that you're growing and the more people that leave, the greater you're doing because you're actually making space. All of what no longer serves you is leaving so that all of what does serve you can enter your life. I'll give you this example. When I left real estate, I sold my company. And I said, and I was right in the middle of my work, my journey. Like I was just getting started. And deep inside of me, I was like, I want to talk to people about this stuff, but I'm a real estate guy. And like, what are they going to think? And yeah. So I said, I know, I'm going to start a real estate coaching company. So I started coaching real estate agents. And I kept going to Costa Rica and coming back. And every time I came back, I was like, I don't really want to talk about real estate anymore. What was happening was as my frequency was raising, like this subject no longer matched with this frequency. The more and more that my frequency grew, the more and more I wanted to talk about love. I wanted to talk about God, not fake God, the one that you guys have been told about, like real God, actual God. I wanted to talk about real abundance, not like drive a car so that you can look good, not like Louis Vuitton, not like real abundance where what you have is just a byproduct of who you are, right? But I was like torn because I was like, but I'm this real estate guy, I want to talk about this stuff, but like, what is it? And one day, true story, in the middle of the event, I said, everybody, true story, you got to have to do this. I said, everybody, from this day forward, we are no longer going to be known as a real estate coaching company. I don't know what we're going to be known as, but from this day forward, I will no longer be talking about real estate. From this day forward, I want to talk about life. And I want to talk about healing. And I don't know how that looks. And I'm understanding that for many of you, that's not going to work for you. But I'm also okay with it. I lost 80% of my clients in that one day. There's still 3 or 4 of them that are still around till this day. But here's the difference. Please get this. I didn't make that a bad thing. I wasn't afraid of it. I saw it as perfect. I didn't spend a second of my life worrying or wondering why it happened or whatever. The fact that it happened meant that it had to happen, meant that I called it into my existence. And the next day, guess what I did? I just started talking about the things that I like talking about. And 60 days later, I replaced every single client. And what most of us do is we spend 3 years of our lives wondering why they all left. And I said, thank you for leaving. You know, right now, the people that I have in my inner circle, which is my highest program, it's $40,000 a year. I love it. It's the greatest thing on earth. It's where entrepreneurs and success-minded people come to do the real work. You know that the people that are in that program today and what we're able to do with that program and how we're taking them to Colombia to go sit with the medicine and everybody's all in. Do you know that those people literally are here at the right moment because who I am today, what I'm willing to do today, what I talk about and don't talk about, the depths in which I'm willing to go through is not the same as who I was back then. I was still asshole Danny back then, right?
What I love that you're sharing about this is I think a lot of people have hangups when they think about, well, all these things are what made me successful. Why would I want to go face them? And they miss this like higher order principle of how reality unfolds and what comes into your life and why it does.
That's right.
Which is like the thrust of how this stuff actually works.
That's right.
And how being a heart-centered leader can actually make you 10x as successful, if not
1,000x. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's really epic stuff. And you know, this to me is the real game, right? Is like starting to change the frequency, starting to I see how we create these situations, right? So that we can see more of ourselves, so that we can expand even more. And once you start playing this game, dude,
It's infinite.
it's the best one there is.
Well. Let me just. If you have a hard time with a client leaving you, you probably have a hard time with death, because it's all a death and a rebirth.
You seem like you were able to really embody that pretty early on your path.
Because I faced death.
To be like it sounded like you were a couple years in at that point.
Yeah.
And to be just totally cool with everyone bouncing in your coaching program, like that's some pretty deep stuff. Like that's a huge transformation for most people.
Yeah. And this is the beautiful thing. Again, let's go back to the separation. It's like you keep thinking of yourself as like the entrepreneur guy that is now on the spiritual journey. That's not it. The whole purpose of your entrepreneurial journey was to get you to become the version of you that you are today, so that you can include all of the lessons from your entrepreneurial journey and combine them into your spiritual path. And through the merging of both of those things, you can reach and help more people to do what? To do whatever it is that your heart desires to do for other human beings.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had a moment where you recognize that you had to have all that success in real estate so that you could be of service and contribution.
That's it.
Be taken seriously.
That's it.
To help people with their consciousness.
That's right. Because if I have a secret sauce, it's that people know that when they finally come to me, it's time. It's time to do the real deal. The real deal. And I have no qualms about saying it the way I think no one on planet Earth does it. Did you just feel that?
Yeah, dude.
That's
I've been
the
feeling
fucking
you,
truth.
I've been feeling you the whole time, man.
But do you understand? But then what you get to ask yourself is, if I was sitting there and some dude was talking like that, you know what I'd do?
Look at this cocky.
You know what I'd do? I would be on the first plane to go to that dude's first event, and I would say, sign me up. Because that's the difference that makes the difference. The difference that makes the difference is you just got to find people that are in alignment with what you actually want in life. Yeah? If you don't want it all, if you don't want to be heart-centered, if you don't want to have passionate love, I'm talking real passionate love, like real. Like if you're shooting yourself up with Botox and all that shit, like you can't have passionate love because you're not in love with yourself, because you don't approve of yourself, because you don't accept yourself. I'm talking real. I'm talking surpassing all the superficial. That's what I'm here to help people with. To show people the pathway to oneness with God, oneness with life, oneness with creator energy, and as a result, oneness with the ability to create whatever they want in life. And trust me, I know that that's too deep for some people, but there's plenty of other people to show you that stuff.
I've heard you say there's a distinction between you're either a creator or a victim. There's no middle.
There isn't.
I think that there's like no middle, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not living in a victim mindset, but I'm certainly not seeing I create everything.
Then trust me, you're living in a victim mindset. Because again, let's go back to that spectrum of energy, right? The middle point, probably a good homework assignment. Like now that you've heard me, like go listen to Power versus Force, or go actually read it, or just go Google Ladder of Consciousness.
David Hawkins' Maps of Consciousness.
Yeah, just go Google it, right? And you'll see, it's actually like this, but I'm just going like this, right? But you'll see it's like the lower half is all of like lower vibration, and then the middle is courage, right? And then the top is all the higher frequencies. And the higher up you go, the closer to oneness you get. Okay, now watch. Think of it this way. Everything below courage is victim energy. Everything above courage is oneness consciousness. Because it takes a lot of courage, a lot of willingness, a lot of acceptance to go, oh my God, my mom didn't know how to love me, which made me go on the journey of discovering the truth, which made me go all in on this journey, which made me then become everything that I am. Holy fuck. I created all of that.
And I've heard you talk about a higher aspect, not only created it, higher aspect of yourself, planned it like that.
Before I came.
When did that?
And again, I'm telling you, listen to me, guys. I'm telling you, I know I sound like a crazy man. I know. But for some of you, it's either I'm crazy or it is the absolute truth. You get to go discover that.
And I think that's a challenge for everybody is
that's a challenge.
Go find your own truth.
Go find your own truth.
And so I just had Rob Schwartz, the author of Your Soul's Plan. He's one of the foremost researchers, authors on pre-birth planning. And I'm curious, like, when did that click in for you? What was the experience? You're like, oh shit, like I planned this before I got here.
Anything I talk about, it's really interesting. Like I have a bunch of buddies that have read like a lot of books, and they base what they teach off of the books. I'm really grateful that I said what I said even about power versus force, because I said I experienced it and then I read it and it was like, oh my God, right? Like anything that comes out of my mouth, it's because I actually lived it. And most of what I've lived, I will just tell you, I went 3 years all in with the medicine.
Can you put it in context? Like how many nights or ceremonies do you think you sat in?
Oh, ayahuasca is probably like 16 now or something like that. And then mushrooms is probably up in the 12s or 13s. And now cannabis is like my sniper.
Fascinating. You don't hear that often.
Oh no, cannabis is the shit. Cannabis is it. Yeah, cannabis is like the mushrooms and aya. I actually feel like you should probably go do that first because it opens you up. And once you're open, cannabis is like, it's all about your intention, but cannabis is like a sniper. If you go say, okay, this is showing up, this is, you could say, I want to prove all this bullshit to be wrong. Go take 2 hits and say, show me the truth. Watch what happens.
Wow.
Just watch.
Wow. One thing that was...
But hang on one second. I forgot to say. So then I can say this does work for everybody, because everybody who's like in our inner circle who has done all of this work, you get to a place where you no longer need the medicine and life itself becomes the medicine, and you will literally start having journeys, psychedelic-like journeys, without taking anything once the energy builds up and it's time to release it. And when that happens, if you've ever experienced that, just close your eyes, just go lay somewhere and just let it all download and come out. Yeah. So it was in one of those sessions that
Nice. Well, I'd be curious what your belief is on this, but I think I know, but the interesting thing about the books, right? And like the things like the David Hawkins showing up and some of these other concepts is like they're showing up because it's you. The information is always coming to you at exactly the right time. That's just how it works.
That's right.
And so, it's actually such a beautiful revelation because you don't need to go seeking anymore. There's no like striving for the next book or the next.
Imagine if you were that way with business.
Well, you can be like that with business.
That's right.
You can be like that with business.
When you're ready, everything shows up.
That's right.
That's it. And if you feel like, there's a large majority of you that are listening right now that this is resonating as true with you. So I would just encourage you to just talk to God and just tell God, I'm ready to know the truth. I'm ready to know the truth about all things. I'm ready to know the truth about you, about myself, about my potential, about my life. So show me and open me to this path. bring to me all of the right people, all of the right circumstances to show me how abundant I actually am, to show me that I actually can have it all. And then just watch what happens.
I'm smiling because as Anthony DeMello, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's of all things, a Jesuit priest who is very, very early consciousness teacher in the 50s, 60s. And he's got this amazing book called Awareness. And he said the number one thing for people's growth is their willingness.
That's it.
Their willingness.
That's it.
Right. And that's what you just described, right? Is the willingness to go there.
Yeah, man. If you actually look back to everything that I said, it's like that's what it is. It's willingness or resistance. So if we go back to the example of like, I lost all my clients, if I would have been in resistance, I'd be probably drinking, I'd be probably sad, but I was willing to see it as perfect. And that requires courage.
Well, I remember there was an inflection point in your journey about like when your platform essentially started growing.
Mm-hmm.
And could you tell that story? I think it was around the surrender. When after you surrendered, it was like,
yeah. You know, if I'm honest, I first grew from like antagonizing. I didn't know it was there. It's just who I was. I was using, I see it now. I can spot it now in some folks. But you know, when you want to grow, it's actually really easy to grow. Like just talk shit.
Yeah, the algorithm's like that.
Just get people riled up, you know? Just get people mad at each other. So I used to purposefully, you know, from an energetic basis, say things that would rile people up. And it grew, but it grew from the wrong energy. And then I surrendered everything. And I finally started to be my authentic self. And a further note to that, because this is something that's becoming apparent to me, like right now, a lot of what I talk about here, I would be afraid to talk about it on social media because I didn't want to upset anybody. But Source just showed me, it's like, you're not here to talk to everybody. You're here to talk to the people that are ready to go from darkness to the light. And for those people that are like listening right now, there's going to be a part of them that is willing. That's the key. That is willing to test it. Go discover your truth. Don't believe me. Go on the journey for yourself. It's what we're actually saying, right? And the people that are not willing and the people that are going to look at me and get mad at me and, you know, post negative comments, that's okay as well. The key is I'm no longer doing what I do from a perspective of trying to grow. I'm just being me now. That's it. And that's when things started to do really well.
Well, that's the place we're all being walked back to, is that authenticity.
That's it. That's it.
I want to talk a little bit about forgiveness and your father, and I'll share why, because I just came back from a retreat. My dad did commit suicide about 5 years ago. And, you know, I was coming back from a retreat this weekend and going back to my mom's house because I borrowed her car. It was on the East Coast. And I realized that, I was going to drive by my dad's cemetery. And I started crying like crazy, like in the car. And I was like, shit, I started to get a ping, like I'm supposed to go to the cemetery. And I just started like hugging his grave and crying my eyes out and forgiving him. You know, truly forgiving him. And I've like tried to forgive him like 15, 20 times, right? But the way that I react to things always lets me know there's still a little more there.
Still a little more there, yeah.
And it was so beautiful and was so amazing. And then in perfect synchronicity, right? I'm preparing for this podcast and I hear you talk about how forgiving your father really kind of opened things up for you.
Yeah.
And this is actually like a really important thing for people to understand, is the role of forgiveness.
It's everything. It's everything. And, you know, there's some teachers out there that say forgiveness isn't necessary. And I would just challenge that by saying, just feel their energy. When they speak, just feel their energy. When they speak, just look at the look in their face. And you'll see the outcome of unforgiveness. And I say that because there's so many people that share words right now on social media, but that doesn't mean that those words are grounded in like eternal truth and in the truth of what is going to be required for you to set your heart and soul free. And if we're talking about forgiveness, forgiveness is the most beautiful act of love that a human being can ever do. And forgiving your mother and father, if you know, some of us are so upset with our mother and father for who they were or what they did because we're in resistance. When we let go of resistance, we get to see that what is actually happening is we are being invited into the most beautiful forgiveness that a human being can ever partake in. Because when you can forgive your mother and father, the people that were supposed to love you and protect you and maybe didn't, what greater act of love is there than for a child to forgive the two people that he or she depended on to take care of his or her heart, but that didn't know how to do that? And the answer is there is no greater act of love. So if your life and your soul's journey is one of reaching enlightenment and reaching love and reaching peace, often what happens is you are faced with the decision and the choice to forgive your mother and father. And that choice you're free to make. All I can guarantee you is if you were to make it, what's available on the other side is just beautiful.
And it seems like for some of us, you have a choice, but you don't actually, because life will continue to be so difficult.
That's right.
That there's this, you just get to the end of your rope. You're like, dude, I've
give
tried
up.
everything else.
I surrender.
Like, yeah,
I surrender.
Exactly. Yeah. And maybe that's karmic. I'm not really sure why that seems to be for some people, but I know in my instance, it was just really clear I couldn't get away with it.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because like, I don't know about you, but like any movie that I would see with like a father-son scene, anything like my daughter, you know, like watches Sing, and the scene where like, you know, like the gorilla Johnny's dad escapes prison and, you know, and I watch it now and it's like, sometimes I get emotional because it's a beautiful scene, but like, I remember when like any father-son scene would get me emotional. And that's the sign that like, there's something there for you to work on. There's still more energy there for you to heal.
Dude, you know what's coming up for me right now? So like, this is all pretty fresh, this whole forgiveness thing with my dad. And I have a daughter, I have a 2-year-old daughter. And in a weird way, like I was like a college athlete and like all these things. Like I was like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna have a son, right? Like we're gonna do guy stuff. And I realized like, I've actually been scared shitless of having a son. Like I've kind of like, there's been like, oh yeah, daughter, awesome, like cool. And then there's like this like weirdness around the son thing. And I think,
I had that weirdness with the daughter thing.
Yeah, dude. And then I realized like what I'm seeing now in this moment is that the forgiveness of my dad is opening that up.
And that's what unlocks it. That's right.
Yeah.
You're getting it, dude.
Yeah, well, you know, I guess I just got to keep spending time with you, man. And
well, or keep spending time with you. But, you know, this one might be too deep for people. But what if, maybe, just maybe, what if your son is actually your dad coming back to experience real love?
I believe that. Well, what's funny is we did a reading with, we did an Akashic record reading for my wife. I got her for her birthday a couple years ago, and the person said, your daughter is your mother in a previous life. And you guys thought it would be fun to switch back.
Yeah.
And you know, what's funny is my daughter came into this world after my dad had passed, and she looked exactly like my dad. You know, of all the people, not me, not my wife, she looked exactly like my dad. And I couldn't help but smile at the cosmic humor where I'm like, I know that like you chose to look this way, but I also know you're here to help me forgive and love my dad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is a constant reminder of
That's
that.
right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Dad, if you're listening out there, which I know you are, come back. Let's do it.
Let's do it. There you go. Oh, remember this moment. I remember this moment.
Yeah. It's actually an interesting thing that I've been always wondered about, because, you know, when you get into David Hawkins' work, who had a big time impact on me, like in a similar way, I read Power vs. Force and the Maps of Consciousness, and I was like, holy shit. Like, it just clicked in, the whole thing. And there's a lot of rhetoric around like, oh, well, there's like more evolved souls and less evolved souls, that kind of like David talked about how you can move up. The average person moves like 5 to 10 points on that scale in a given lifetime. And so somebody that's moving up a lot in that lifetime is someone that's probably actually just done a lot of work over a lot of lifetimes in preparation for that. And you're just seeing the ascension happen rapidly, but there's a lot more that went into that than what the work they're doing here. And, you know, in a situation like I had, where like I did have a dad who did do something at the lowest end of the scale, is that a question that I'm always in the question? And I know you had your own experience with your mom, like her mom, like not like dying so young. It's like, did those souls do that for me? Or is that actually just where they were at?
It's a combination.
Both and, like so many things.
It's all perfect.
Yeah.
And the answers will be revealed to you as time goes by.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, man.
Danny, dude, and you're doing amazing work, man. I can say, everybody listening, the energy is real. You know, you're really authentic. You're really, I can sense your truth.
Thank you, man.
You know, and I want to give you an opportunity to share more for people if they're excited about what they heard today, if they want to follow more of your work, where they can do that.
Yeah, just Instagram. Yeah, Danny Morel. Or if not, I've got a one-day event called Heal. And they can go to dannymorel.com/heal. And it just gives them a good feeling and taste for like what we do.
Cool. So, because you mentioned the Awaken event too, is Heal the entry point, and Awaken's kind of, you want to go a little bit deeper?
Awaken is like, you know, for those of you overachievers, just come to Awaken.
Skip a step.
All right. Just come to Awaken. And that's dannymorel.com/awaken.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Real honor.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.